Alright guys, I wanted to do a quick video showing you maybe how to get your horn working. This is an 86 Toyota pickup. The horn worked, but it didn't work in the center. So it worked on the edges when you turn the wheel. So I figured it was wearing down towards the center. But maybe your horn doesn't work at all. So I'll give you the quick rundown on what I did. So most of the time, it looks like the horn pin wears down. So here's my original horn pin. And it is pretty worn down. I have the new one in already, but this one's half an inch shorter than the old one. So while I was in there, I'm just replacing the pin if I'm going to dig into the steering wheel. Okay, I've already dug into this, so I'll just give you the quick rundown. Pop the front steering wheel cover off with a pry tool or screwdriver, and it's just old plastic, so wiggle it out gently to try and get it out without breaking it. Then once you get to that part, the steering wheel is held on with one nut that sits in the middle. It is a 19, so just get a 19 on that and break that free. Then you're going to have to get the steering wheel off, and it might be fairly frozen. You can give it some wiggles, put a 2x4 behind it, give it a couple hits, and ours came off. So steering wheel's off. I also took the shroud off of here, so there's just screws under here that you can pull off to get to the shroud here. So 6 or 7 screws, take those off from underneath to get that off of there. So a couple things to look at with the steering wheel. So there is this plate here that is the contact for the steering wheel buttons, and the steering wheel buttons are attached right there. So I would start there, checking to make sure that connection is good. Next up is this gunked up. So is it able to make contact? So I just took some sandpaper and sanded that down kind of lightly. That still actually didn't get me the horn working, so then I figured this ring maybe is worn down a lot, so you might just want to get a new ring if you can get a new ring. Mine, once again, just didn't work. Basically steering wheel straight, which is about here, is where the pin hits. So I cleaned that up, and then it just wasn't touching, even with the new pin. So I just put a screwdriver under there and bent that out a little bit to give me contact. Probably since it's between the 2 screws, it's probably the least leveraged spot. So push that out a little bit. I don't know, maybe you could jam a playing card behind it or something to give yourself just a little bit more space. You can actually get to this ring with just the shroud off. So if you think it's just this ring, just take the shroud off and just get a screwdriver in there and see if you can pull that back, if that'll help you. Okay. If it's not that, it might just be the pin. So this is the steering wheel behind the steering wheel, and the pin is right there. So that pin rides on that gold brass disc, copper disc, and makes contact. So the other thing you might want to check is behind it. Now it's really hard to get to. If you push the pin in, you can look from behind and see where the connection is. But otherwise it's pretty hard. And if you're going to replace it, there's a C-clip on the back of this that makes it really hard to get to. So you can pull this off. So there are 4 screws here, here, here. And then there's the wiring harness down here, and it is in 2 parts. So there's 2 buttons underneath that you can push up to release these wiring harnesses. Okay, there's one. Be careful on the buttons that push to release this, because I broke the button over here, so I don't know if this one's going to release for me very well. But it will come off too. Just give it a little wiggle. And then you can pull this whole piece off of here. So it comes all the way forward. And then what you'll have to do is look behind it where the connector is and make sure your wire is connected there. And then there's a C-clamp right there that you can get to pull that off. If you get a new pin, it comes with a new C-clip. It is really hard to do with this screwed on there. You just can't get to it very well. So I'd recommend unscrewing this, pull this off, and then you can get to that a lot easier and then replace it. So then just screw it all back together, and I've already put it back together once and tried it, and the horn is working good now. So hopefully that helps you, if your horn isn't working, for you to get your horn working again. Alright, so we're back. It's all put together. All the screws are in it. The screws underneath are a different, there are different types of screws underneath, so pay attention to which ones come out of where. But yeah, we got it back together, and the horn is working.